And if you like this video or any other videos on the channel, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. The way I think I'm going to go through this overview video is I'm going to go over the kind of just the article first and just give my thoughts about it. And then I've made a few notes about some of the units that could benefit and some of the combos that could benefit from this detachment. So we'll go over the detachment and the rules pretty quick, and then I'll give you some ideas. I've been having just some things that we might be able to use when this detachment comes out. Alright here, so let's go over the new detachment preview that GW put out. The detachment rule that we have out is the Revered Companions. So this one is the one, so if you use Custodians and Silent Sisters together, it's got a two-part rule. The first rule is if you have any Adeptus Custodes unit within 6 inches of any of your sisters units, that unit will get a 5-up Feel No Pain against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. So Adeptus Custodes unit, so that can be any of your sisters unit as well. So if you have any of your custodians, like a custodian guard or wardens, or even your witch seekers within 6 inches of any of your other sisters units, they will get this buff. It's not a bad buff, but I would really prefer it to be a 5-up against devastating wounds as well. Hopefully they'll make a change to this, and with the change to this could be a little bit better, but right now it's kind of weak. The other ability, because this is a two-part ability, this one is, so if you have any of your sisters units within 6 inches of any of your other Custodes units, so if you have a group of Vigilators 6 inches to Wardens, they will get this second part, and the second part is any of those sisters units will get a +1 to their hit. It's not that good with Witch Seekers, because Witch Seekers are all auto-hitting already. With Vigilators, there could be a little bit of play with that. Prosecutors really still don't really have a lot of use with that because their bolters are still so weak. There is a stratagem in there that might help them a little bit, but once again, I think Vigilators are really going to see some play with this detachment. Next, we're going to go over the 2 stratagems that they gave us, and they're not bad ones. I think with a little bit of tweaking to the first part of the detachment rule, maybe giving us it towards devastating wounds as well, I think there can be some play with this detachment. I have some ideas. I think it could be fun just because you have to kind of set things up. But either way, I'll go over these. So both of these are battle tactics, which is wonderful. So you can use double up with these with the Shield Captain. And both of these are pretty strong, especially the first one can have a lot of play. Even the second one I think is pretty strong with certain units. So the first one is good because I've always been saying I want a little more movement tricks with the Custodes. So what this does is allows us, if a unit does a normal move or advance or fall back within 9 inches of one of our Adeptus Custodes units, so that can be a sisters or any of the Custodes like the Wardens or the Guard, that unit can move up to 6 inches. It says up to 6 inches because your Terminators can only move 5, so you can only move up to the movement of the model. So you just can't move 6 just because it says 6. And the restrictions. So the restrictions with both of these stratagems, and I'm guessing it's going to be the kind of the theme of this detachment, is it says you can select up to 2 Adeptus Custodes units, but it's only 2 if one of them is a sisters unit and one of them is not a sisters unit. If not, it can only be 1. I do think this can be pretty strong because Ceaseless Hunter was super strong in the Index Custodes, and now this is just a 1 CP stratagem. It is a battle tactic stratagem, so you can double it up with the Shield Captain. So I think having a army-wide Ceaseless Hunter for 1 CP will be pretty good. It'll be a lot of good moves you can do. You can move them ahead to help get onto objectives, maybe get your reroll wounds, or just make sure you steal it from someone. You can fall back 6 inches just to make a charge harder. So I think it has a lot of play. I'm quite looking forward to this one. I'm happy about this stratagem. There's not too many bad things I can say about this. It would be better if you can select 2, but moving 2 Warden units or 2 Terminators or vice versa, maybe some Guard, would be pretty strong for 1 CP. So having some restrictions makes you kind of forces you, not just forces you, but it more incentivizes taking more sisters and stuff in your list for this detachment. Second stratagem, Talons Interlocked. It's a shooting stratagem. So in your shooting phase, you can select up to 2 Custodes infantry units. So that has to be the same thing. If you can only select 2 if it's 1 sisters unit and 1 non-sisters unit. And so you select those 2 units, and one enemy unit that is eligible to shoot with both those units, and then both those units have to shoot that unit you selected. Kind of confusing, guys, but I do believe once we're going to get the hang of it, it'll be easier. Once you do that, you select the 2 units, select the 1 enemy unit, you can get +1 to your strength and +1 to your AP, and this can be a powerful stratagem. It is also a battle tactic, 1 CP, so you can double up your shield captain. I think Terminators will really benefit from the stratagem. Terminators will bring your spears up to strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. Grenades will also be up to strength 5, AP 2, damage 1. So those are really good profiles for killing Marines, even killing Terminators. You're kind of forcing your invuln saves. Finally, in this article, we have the enhancements. So the first enhancement is Gift of the Terran Artifice, and what this one does is each time the bearer makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. So this one is going to be almost like our inspirational exemplar. If we have some points left over, we'll take this because it only affects the model. It affects our already strong melee, so it's not a big auto include. It's going to buff your blade champion. It's going to make your shield captain stronger, but it's not going to really affect the game. Same kind of as Radiant Mantle. The Radiant Mantle, I think, is a little better. You're going to want to put this on your shield captain, who's going to be standing in the middle. You put him with some wardens, so your shield captain and your wardens are going to be standing in the middle. Radiant Mantle. Each time an attack targets this bear's unit, if the attacking model is within 12 inches, subtract 1 the hit roll. I wish it was all the time, because within 12 would be good for outside of 12, because it would help against those long-range anti-tank weapons that want to get shooting into your wardens. It'd be nice if it gave stealth. If it gave stealth to your unit, that'd be pretty cool too. But other than that, this one is still pretty good. Yes, because it makes your wardens even more annoying, but you can already get -1 from the hit roll in melee anyways, because of the shield captain. If you have this on the shield captain, most of the time if someone's going to be charging you, you're going to be using your one of those Custodes to be getting subtract 1 from the hit roll, and this isn't subtract 1 from the ballistic skill, so you can't stack them. So this will only really come up if the unit attacking you is within 12 and shooting at you. You could put it on the blade champion, but the shield captain on some wardens, throw them in the middle, is the best thing you want to do with this enhancement. Alright, so I'm going to go over a few units I think are really going to benefit from this detachment. The first is the Vigilators. The Vigilators really going to get a big buff from the +1 to hit they'll get if they're within 6 inches of any other non-sisters unit. So you have any of your guard or wardens within 6 inches of these girls, you're going to be able to get these girls hitting on 2s, and the Great Blades are AP2 damage 2, so they're going to be a good replacement for mowing down some mid-strength infantry. So maybe you don't want to put some guard or some wardens over, throw some sisters in there. If they're 6 inches away from some other Custodes units, you might be able to get these girls to punch above their weight a little bit, but it is going to be some placement with them. The next unit I'm kind of looking forward to more, just because I really enjoy Witch Seekers. Witch Seekers have a lot of utility because of the scout they have, and their shooting ability allows you to battle shock, so sometimes you can stop some of those pesky Arm of Contempts or those annoying rezzing things when you kill the whole unit. But they're also going to get a lot from the stratagem, and so pairing this with the next unit I'm going to show you after this, Witch Seekers, I think is going to be quite the devastating combo. So with the stratagem, you can get these girls on strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, ignore and cover. Torrent, so I do believe with 10 of these girls shooting into some infantry or some hordes, you can really pump out the damage, and then you combine them with the Terminators. Terminators with this stratagem I think are going to be deadly. And with the Talons interlock stratagem with these Alaris Terminators is really going to be able to pump out some damage. They're already one of our best, if not the best, infantry shooting unit we have with the Guardian Spears along with the grenade launchers. So when you use this Talons interlock stratagem with them, you're going to be able to get their spears up to strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. That's going to rip apart Space Marines. It's going to rip apart anything that is below toughness 5. So you're going to be wounding it on 3s, especially if there's a character in there. You're going to be re-rolling the wounds. And then you throw the grenade launchers in there, especially once again if you're shooting at your prime targets. If you're shooting at a horde unit, you're going to be getting those grenades up to strength 5, AP2, damage 1. So you're going to do some big work with these Terminators, because it depends on what you're shooting at. You're going to be rerolling your wounds. And even shooting into vehicles, having the extra AP to bring you up to AP2 is going to help. Still going to be wounding on 6s, re-rolling, but the AP2 will really help you kind of punch through some of these armor. The characters for the sisters could also become a little bit more viable as well. Right now they're not that useful, but having a detachment that kind of has some sisters utility, I think Alea with her fights first for her unit she's joined will really help the Vigilators. She also adds a little bit of buff to their melee as well, but I think the fights first will be pretty strong for her unit, and it depends on her points. Then you have the Knight Centurion. The Knight Centurion just adds a little more speed and reliability to your advances and your charges, because you get to add 2 to all those advances and your charges. She adds a little bit of battle shock utility as well, but it's mostly just the movement speed you're going to add with her. So it depends on the points. If the points change, or if you want to add a little more flavor to this detachment, you can add some of these sisters characters. And of course, the shield captains are going to be amazing. Maybe even the Terminator shield captain with that +1 to your AP and +1 to your strength stratagem. He could be a little more viable, but we're going to wait to see and see what happens, because we've only seen a little bit of the stratagems. We haven't seen all of them. We've only seen 2 of the enhancements, so there's lots more to come. Let's give my closing thoughts on this. Is this going to be stronger than what we have right now in our current Custodes? No. With the feel no pain only being used against mortal wounds and psychic attacks, unless you're fighting Thousand Suns, it's not going to come up a lot. It's not going to be like now where you have a protection, a 4-up feel no pain against devastating wounds that helps against mortal wounds as well. So if they maybe change this to devastating wounds too, there could be some play with this. I think there's going to be a high skill ceiling with this, because you're going to have to make sure that you have everyone set up right, so everyone's getting the buffs from the detachments. You want to make sure they're not getting all your sisters killed, because if you lose all your sisters, you lose half that detachment. It just becomes useless, really. You lose all of it, really. It just doesn't do anything anymore. Some knowledge of what these units can do will help, so maybe take some time to play with some of these Vigilators, some Witch Seekers. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing some Vigilators on my next test list, but I do believe with some changes to this rule, and we haven't seen all the strategies, we haven't seen all the enhancements, but I think unless they change that first part to add devastating wounds as well, because it's not like your entire army just gets it for free. You do have to set it up. So I think having it against devastating wounds could add a little more viability to this. And like I said, there'll be some high skill ceiling, because you have to make sure everything's set up right. And yeah, so I do look forward to the detachment. It's something new. Like I said, they keep on saying there's a more high skill ceiling. You're not just marching forward, standing on objectives. You have to kind of have your things set up so you're not losing the buff, because 6 inches isn't very big. So you might charge yourself outside of the distance from your sisters and lose the 5-up feel no pain. So you'd have to be careful with it. So there will be a lot of play with it. I do look forward to it. Well, I don't know if we'll get any more previews or not. Probably not. So we'll see what's coming up. I think they say it'll be out by the end of the month. And I'll of course get the codex. I'll let you guys know of all my ideas and my thoughts are of the codex and all the different detachments. There's going to be a lot of content coming up in the channel for Custodes. So strap in, and I hope you all enjoy. And like I always say, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by.